more references between MITRE ATT&CK versus MITRE ATLAS. This one you don't need to know so much, but it's giving you an idea of the relationship between those two. AI risk repository. So this one you definitely need to know. The interesting thing about MIT AI risk repository is that it covers a little ground that you won't see on OWASP top 10. You won't see it on MITRE. It's really useful in that it covers some ground that those other ones don't. And a couple of those you'll see right away. One of them is discrimination and toxicity. So a AI hiring tool discriminates against protected groups. This is something you won't see on OWASP a top 10 list of vulnerabilities. You won't see it on the MITRE ATT&CK framework, but it is a huge concern. And the MIT AI risk repository addresses these a lot of social issues that are not necessarily technical. They do have really technical stuff in here, as you'll see in a moment here. But what you want to ask yourself is a question is, why would you use MIT AI repository? Why would I use this? Why wouldn't I just use OWASP top 10? Why wouldn't I just use MITRE? It's very different. So the MIT repository explicitly designed for risk classification and regulatory mapping. So this would be really good if you're in an organization and you're setting up AI and you're trying to cover all your bases legally, not just technical, but legally. How can we make sure it fits into society, make sure it's fitting into, we're not violating any laws of our federal, state, local governments or different bodies we have to deal with. This has the repository of actual things that have happened, and that's what really makes this one special. But let's get through a couple of these. So it also addresses privacy and security cases. There's cases that are dealing with privacy and security, real world from all over the world that they have put into this repository. Misinformation. This one is huge, especially in the legal space lately. Uh, LLM hallucinations, deep fakes, disinformation campaigns, malicious actors and misuse. That's a big one. This one has a lot of crossroads into something like MITRE ATT&CK framework, but we're just talking about cases, like actual cases that have happened or real world things where they've been able to simulate these things happening, a human computer interaction, socioeconomic, environmental issues, job displacement, AI system safety. These are all things that they're not hacks or something like that, but they are very important. Some of them are becoming huge. The bigger that AI becomes, the more important they become. So, from your perspective, when you're going through this test, you want to think about, okay, what do I need this for versus why would I use this versus the MITRE ATT&CK framework versus OWASP top 10. And some of the reasons, scenarios that you might use it would be you want to build an AI risk register that maps failure models to the NIST AI risk management framework. You have some kind of a GRC framing that you have to do, and you have to map the risks to it. And not all those are going to be technical. Maybe you want to understand what categories of risk an AI governance policy should address. Maybe you're developing a policy and you want specific cases to point to so that your organization is already ahead of the game. You guys are already addressing these things like toxicity, the misuse of generative AI in your environment where people are generating things that they shouldn't generate, right? And you want to point out those types of risks that you wouldn't see on the OWASP top 10. Another thing is finding specific adversarial techniques used in recent attacks because it's actually citing real attacks. Maybe you want to cite actual attacks that are in the wild and you want to address them more directly. This is where you would use an MIT AI risk repository. And it's broken out into these different sections. And I imagine this is going to become way more robust and way more important because so many things are starting to happen with AI. Let me just show you what the risk registry looks like real quick. Here's what it looks like. Here's the actual page. And it has a downloadable spreadsheet that has some of the incidents and breaks it down into these different areas right here. And there's over 1,600 risks from 65 papers, different papers and actual incidents that have occurred that you can put in one of these areas of concern. So just think when you're talking about IT, when you're talking about MIT AI risks, think about a company that needs actual case studies that goes into things like discrimination. You could go into that as adversely impacted the company, AI safety issues, things like socioeconomic and environmental concerns. You will not see that stuff in MITRE. You will not see that in OWASP. All right. So here's another one that you need to be able to delineate. You need to be able to say, okay, this is a separate thing. And this one right here, I'm seeing direct, real world, actionable. This is stuff I actually see in the real world when as we are incorporating different parts of AI. So this is CVE. So AI working group is essentially it's just CVEs. And CVEs are common vulnerability exposures. That just means they're vulnerabilities that pertain to a specific system. And I give you as an example here would be like LangChain is a software technology that is used to do agentic AI. So whenever you talk about agents doing things on behalf of a person or a company or whatever, they're usually using LangChain in the back end. So that software can, just like anything else, have things like prompt injection attacks, remote execution code, vulnerable components. It can have things that are out of date, all that kind of stuff can happen with LangChain. So it's just like any other software. And what do? We have to patch it. So we track it with something called a CVE. This one on the test is very easy to identify. If they're talking about a specific vulnerability, and it's between this and MITRE attack framework and MIT, if it's a specific CVE is a specific vulnerability on a specific system, it's normally going to have something to do with the CVE IA working group that's pointing to an actual CVE. So here's an example of what a CVE looks like. So you have a number in the middle here. That number is the date of when that it was discovered. And now have a unique identifier right there. And then it'll have a breakdown of what does it impact, what is the root cause, how to fix it, something like that. And it's the same thing in cloud, from Azure to AWS to Oracle or whoever, to networking devices like Cisco and Juniper or whatever. And AI is no different. It also is subject to CVEs, and it's a big part of it. And let's get into another thing that I was actually surprised was on the test. I shouldn't have been surprised because it tells you that it's going to be on the test. It's listed in the main body of knowledge that you have to go through here. This right here is dealing with threat modeling. So if you look at CompTIA's main document that breaks out each one of the domains, look very closely, they will mention this threat modeling.